Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Julie and I'm joined by Riro, Katie, Bonnie, and we are sharing our solidarity picks for this month. We got Bonnie's pick a little earlier and last week, and we heard about the Indigenous women that were missing and learned a lot about that. And we are going to talk about a really cool chick today. But before we do that, I wanted to know from the group this week, what's the most rebellious thing you've done? Dun, dun, dun. By the way, for legal reasons, none of these things should probably be
right. Okay, all right.
prosecutable.
What is the double jeopardy or the
We can say alleged.
Right. Yes. This is very true.
Cover your behind. Alleged. These alleged actions that may or may not have allegedly happened.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. The first one that came to mind for me, and I'm very rebellious by nature, so there's probably like a list of things. So I'm going to go top of the mind. The first thing that I thought of when you said it was, I chose my own religion.
Yeah.
And that really upset so many people in my family. And so sticking with my guns of going, hey, no, I'm learning about this. I don't know everything about it. I'm not the sole representative of Buddhism, but at the same time, I'm the same freaking person that you were blood related to. And so it was one of those things and it took me a long time of being more and more rebellious in it, and as far as conversations and being dismissed and things. A lot of it was a phase. And I'm like, it has been 31 years at this point.
Longest phase I've ever lived through.
Don't know if we're still defining it as a phase. But it's something that like I'll just kind of pass and comment of like, oh, I studied the world's major religions and then I decided to choose the one that I felt best fit me.
Sure.
And I heard people go, that seems really rebellious, or my parents would hate that, or how did your grandparents so that was what came to mind.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's one of those, that's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's very easy to stay in the religion you were raised with because it's familiar and it's already there. And it's, again, a heavy lift and all of that stuff. I was 15 and very, very upset. So I needed to find something different.
Sure. Need to step
before
away.
I burned it all down.
Sure. Choices were made.
Right. My rebellion turned into that. So, yes. What do you ladies? Rebellion.
What do you got?
Funny enough, I think one of my biggest rebellions would just be promoting the library. Which shouldn't be a rebellion.
I shouldn't be.
But when I talk about the library or what I do here or how I'm a feminist, it just sets people off. Yeah. Even other women.
Yeah, that's the one that surprises us the most, isn't it? It's like, oh, all right then.
And even friends of mine, not that it really sets them off, but they're not like all in,
right?
You know? So even though I know they might not be there with me, I keep talking about it. I'm like, we're doing the Galentines. You got to come.
Yeah.
Right? It's, it's a library full of books about women. You can
their
learn
stories.
So much.
Yeah.
And so I think just continuously sharing what we do here and what I'm about and how it means so much to me personally is my act of rebellion.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Beautiful.
As much as I don't believe in it.
Yes.
I am so obnoxiously a Virgo. So I'm very much a rule follower.
Right, yeah.
But I have, I do little rebellions.
Right. Do you cut
I
outside
will
the lines?
walk on the fucking grass. I will jaywalk.
Yes.
I'm very much the unapologetic feminist.
There you go. Yes.
But
brilliant.
I grow my own food.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess as much as I can.
Yeah. It's a rebellion against the grocery store.
That's really cool.
Against capitalism and consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
I like
That's
it.
really
Yes.
cool.
You have a lot of rebellion tendencies, but I know you love the rules. It's
but
like,
I'm not,
I...
I've never been arrested.
There you go.
So,
yes, exactly.
I have no convictions.
Right, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think I've been pulled over 3 times.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually do anything.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
One was like a cop followed me home. They're like, we heard someone was like ran a red light or something. I was like, then why'd you follow me like 10 miles home? They're like, no, we didn't do that. And they're like, okay. And
were you bored?
Maybe.
I was
happens.
exiting a thing on a divided highway, and I accidentally turned on the wrong side.
Oh, yeah,
and I realized it immediately. So I just pulled off to the shoulder, waited for traffic to stop, and then did a U-turn.
Yeah.
And then the cop pulled me over, and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, what did you want me to do?
I know.
Right.
Probably making sure you weren't drunk or lost or confused or something. Or, yeah. But, yeah.
So I've never even gotten a speeding ticket.
Oh, look at you.
Wow. Also can't say that.
Yeah, I can't say that either.
No.
I lived in LA too long.
Yeah.
They would find any reason to pull you over because it's cash money there.
Sure. Wow.
Oh, good. Julie, what's your list?
Yeah. What's
alleged
mine?
list.
What's mine?
What's one of them?
One of them. Yeah, there's a list. A chronological, alphabetical.
Whatever you feel. What's over top of the mind today?
No, I think the most rebellious thing, and the first thing that came to me was I'm the only one in my family to have gotten divorced.
Oh,
and
divorce is definitely a rebellion.
That was a rebellion at the time, and I was very young and had 2 young kids at the time. And
how will you support yourself?
Right,
Sorry.
there was a lot of things like it was a lot of, and this was 1993, 4.
Right. Yeah.
This was not like
we came far into divorce at this point.
Yeah. At some point, you're like, okay, well, welcome.
Mm-hmm. We were probably at 50% of all divorce or all marriages end in divorce at that point.
Right.
So.
Right. And so yeah, I mean, my grandmother, my mom's mom, got divorced, but it was.
Was it after
for
yours?
A different reason?
Okay.
Like he was a womanizer, he was a drunk, he was quote more abusive. I don't know what that means.
Right, sure. There you go. Protection.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was the judgment was pretty heavy. And now what? And how do you do all these things? And I'm like, well, we figured it out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we did, and we're all good now. But that was at the time the most rebellious, and I've always been a rebellious kid. Like I moved out at 15.
Nice.
And supported myself and did all kinds of other shit.
Yeah.
But,
but divorce is also standing up for yourself.
Yeah, because as women, we leave with nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So like I left a house, a car, a very nice car, very nice house, a boat. You know what I mean?
There you go. Missing that boat every day.
A man with a good income. Do you know what I mean? And
right.
it was like, it was nice.
Some things were more important.
It was. And life was much more important and being not sad all the time. So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Well, super proud of you in your rebellion.
Thanks. Thanks.
Like
and like I think I said off recording, but that girl doesn't exist anymore, and nobody's happier about that than I am.
Right, yeah, there you go.
That girl was very pretty and very young and very skinny, but she was dumb,
All a work in progress.
She was so pretty, though. She was just so pretty. Anyway, I miss her.
I love that. Yes, exactly.
A little. I miss her a little.
You're still pretty. Still pretty.
Not that pretty.
I always love what was it? It was Julia Roberts was talking about Lauren Bacall at age 19 because Maltese Falcon was Lauren Bacall at 19, and it's like 19. How many of us thought we were that gorgeous at 19?
No.
And it turns out we all were. We just didn't appreciate it at the time.
100%.
But so there you go. So
100%. So
who do you have?
I have a really cool gal that I had sort of known about, but I didn't really dig into her life, and her name is Georgia Gilmore. And she was actually she's from Montgomery County, Alabama, and she was born in 1920. But she was friends with Miss Rosa Parks.
Look at that.
Yeah, and so she was part of all of that. So she was one of 5 children. She attended a parochial school. She did all the things that you were supposed to do.
In the Deep South, yes.
Right. And she grew up, and she was a midwife and a cook and a domestic worker. She worked on the railroad for a short time. Badass.
Nice.
Right. And that was kind of her personality, and people said that about her a lot. Like, you don't mess with her.
There
you don't mess with her, which you gotta love that, right?
Has Mama thrown somebody from the train? Sorry,
It
makes you wonder. You just
So she had 6 children
Gotcha.
in the 50s, and she supported her mother and helped raise her youngest sister and her niece. So she was like the breadwinner and the mama bear, right?
Yeah,
she
I
was
love
definitely
mama
the
bears.
mama bear. But before the Montgomery Bus Boycott, she stopped riding the buses because her and her mother experienced discrimination.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
before Rosa Parks, they were like, can't do this anymore because I'm done.
Yeah, ruined it. Not safe.
Not putting up with that disrespect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she wasn't afraid to confront the white man.
Right.
Which was a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
Right. And she was super protective of her family. So she was like, just don't ride the buses anymore.
Yeah, not worth it.
She worked as a cook at the National Lunch Company restaurant downtown Montgomery, right? So like a lunch counter. Place.
Yeah, like a Woolworth sort of thing, like where there were sit-ins later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So during the boycotts, the bus boycotts, they began in 55. And so she started a group called the Club from Nowhere.
Aww.
And
love that name.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good
the Club
one.
from Nowhere, and what they did was they funded the year-long battle from sales from her food and her friends' food.
Aww.
So they would fried chicken and make cakes, and they cookies. They did all kinds of pound cakes and sweet potato, all the best food in the world. And they would sell it to the people who were marching or picketing.
Yeah.
So their friends.
To support the movement.
To fund the movement, which funded all the alternate transportation that they used, from
awesome.
wagons to gas to rented trucks to all that.
Yeah.
So they
just keeping the
funded
movement going.
Yeah.
But just
So-
not giving money to the terrible people.
So so the group called the Club from Nowhere, when the white man asked, well, where'd you get all this money? And they said it came from nowhere.
Oh, that's beautiful. 'Cause
Which
then
I'm
you're
like,
not lying.
I love you so much right now. Like, I love you so much right now.
Thought about it.
So she literally, her and her friends funded 381 days worth of transportation through bake sales.
Yes, that is a
Like,
major
I've always
bake
been a
sale.
big proponent of, let's take out the money from the nuclear bombs and all the other stuff and have to, if they had to fund that with bake sales, don't you think they'd try a little harder to let us know what was going on? Like, I need to buy more weapons for this third world country. Would you like to buy a brownie?
Right, exactly.
I have to tell you about the secret war. Fried chicken? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, who would fund that?
Needs to be part of the pitch.
I have to fund how is education funded, Katie?
Mhm.
Bake sales.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. Selling candy bars and magazines, right?
Just
I mean,
get done with food, right? And they did. They totally did. So like pound cakes and all that stuff, right? So Dr. King lived a few blocks away from her. And so he would, like, restaurants were a main hub for their, that was where meetings were
Community.
done. And that's where community was. And that's where bread is broken and deals are made, right? Not on the golf courses, you guys. It's all done in restaurants back then.
Yeah.
And they could have these secret meetings in these restaurants after hours and call it a community meeting,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So Dr. King would bring all these people in, and the first place they would go would be Georgia's house.
Yeah.
So she ended up running an unofficial restaurant out of her house, which also funded this movement, right? So when you get people like, and I'm scrolling to the bottom of this, sorry, but when you get like the big movers and shakers that Dr. King's like, no, I know where we're going to go. Lyndon Johnson.
Oh.
Small man, no big deal.
Right, exactly.
Nobody
Sure.
important, right? Like,
Right.
not a big deal.
How do you smooze Lyndon Johnson? Well,
Robert Kennedy ate at her house.
Oh, nice.
Once again.
Yeah.
Nobody important, right? Nobody big. So it's one of those where she was so integral, but nobody knows.
Right.
How she
Everybody
held it
knows
all
Rosa
together.
Parks,
Yeah.
but she was literally the gravy and the mashed potatoes that held it all together. There is several books on her, but one of the big ones that has her stories in it, it's called The Potlickers.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it's a colloquialism, the potlickers. So when on the plantations, the cooks would boil and cook the collard greens in the pot, and they would take the collard greens out, and those would get served at the dinner table. And what would be left would be the juice. And they would offer that to the pot lickers, the slaves, or the help, to be able to have something to eat. And that's really where all the nutrients were.
Right.
And you've already boiled it all out.
Exactly.
And so it gave me it warmed the cockles of my cold little heart as a Southern gal to be like, oh yeah, that was always my favorite part too. Was like, the greens are great, but I love this juice that it's in. Why do I love this stuff? It's got all the stuff in it. It's where all the good stuff is, right? She also, side note, which I also didn't know, but there were 2 court cases that she was involved in. One was against her son, who got in trouble for being a black male.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Not even probably protesting or anything, just
not
existing.
Really. Right? Not really. Yeah. He walked through a whites-only park after dark. It was closed, and he walked through, and he got arrested for it. Right. And she went to court, and she won.
Oh, nice.
They won.
Sweet.
She won both cases. That was in 1959.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In 1974, there was a litigation that was reopened, and the Supreme Court reopened it about that same park and how it was opened back up for a private school and the YMCA to do some segregated shit in there. And she was like, can't do that.
Oh, nice.
And she went to court and she won that, and they had to desegregate the park. Again, twice.
Yeah.
She didn't do it once. Yeah. She did it twice. I was like, girl, I still want to be her friend.
Right, exactly. Not on my watch. Are you messing with this park?
Right,
I like that. Yeah.
Right. But and I knew about the book, The Pot Lickers. Her recipes, which I also loved, her recipes are still printed.
Oh, great.
People are out there printing and reprinting them, which is cool. I don't know who gets the money for it.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't follow that, but I was like, okay, lady, I need to know where these recipes are, because
it's a
I make some pretty good fried chicken, but my guess is yours is better, which makes me sad. But
but you're willing to learn.
Yeah, I am. I'm willing. I can handle that. But
I like it.
Like I said, pot liquor. It's called the Pot Liquor Papers. Liquor Papers.
Nice.
And then
found it. Nice illustration on the front.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it is, and it's out there. One is called the Club from Nowhere.
Okay.
Cooking for Civil Rights.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you just want to read it.
Yeah.
Like it just makes you want to sit down with like fried chicken and gravy and potatoes and go and roll.
Yep, exactly.
Like a buttermilk biscuit.
Give me a sweet potato casserole any day of the week.
Right?
Yep.
And just kind of chill out and get to know Georgia a little bit more. So, and I know I tend to go really quickly because I'm always afraid I'm going to run out
You're good. You're good.
I want to get it all out. I feel like she's got so much info.
It's the excitedness, right?
It really
just
is.
I had so much fun learning about her. You need to know these things. That's this show.
It's a lot of and for somebody, for me, it really is. For somebody nobody knows.
Yeah.
And she did so many things.
Yeah, she was
knew
interconnected
so many people.
Yeah.
How did we not know about her? But that's the beauty of what we do, and why I fell in love with the podcast, quite honestly. Nose around this. But I did because it's that, not to phrase a weird thing, but it's that 6 degrees Kevin Bacon situation.
Yes,
it's like, how far away are we from these people that we should know about, right?
Right, yeah.
Not to bring a dude into it, but I didn't know what other way.
Oh, no, Kevin Bacon's...
But she reminded me of that because she's so connected to all these other people.
Yeah.
And not in a weird way, but in a way that we all connect. We connect with our loved ones and our friends through food and through stories. And, how can we best rebel? And how can we become more solidarity with each other? And we do that through food and conversation. And I mean, even around our table here, we've got drinks out, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And there's never food far, y'all.
Right. I know, exactly. Yes.
I know there's snacks. But it just drew me to her in that, and as a mom, as a grandma, as a woman who bonds over coffee or whatever, right? It's like, that's how we commune, and that's how we change the world.
Yeah.
Right? And get them to listen. If I can't get you to listen through a march, if I can't get you to listen through a speech, I'm going to sit you down and force you to eat my food.
Yeah.
and then we're going to talk.
Exactly.
And
Food
have a good mama talk. I'm going to talk to you.
Right. And take
Until
care
I'm
of
done.
you and then ask you to do better.
Right. But I was like, she reminded me very much of my grandmother in that realm of, I sit at my knee and you're going to learn some things. And if not, you're going to sit here until you learn the things.
Right. Maybe one day you'll reflect back and be like, that's what that was.
Right. Because you have that mantra, right?
Yes.
Eventually they will learn.
They will all learn eventually. The eventually might take too long.
Right.
But it's not up to us.
I think she did it through Hungry Bellies.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Anyway, anybody have questions for me?
I do love that.
I know that was a lot.
No, it's a good version of a lot.
Yeah.
So
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, the food language.
Food,
Yep.
yes.
I figured you would like her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dive into this one a little deeper.
Yeah.
Find some of those recipes.
That'd be delicious.
Sure.
Oh, my goodness.
There's a third one. Sorry.
Oh, another book? Yes.
Yeah. It's called The Underground Kitchen That Funded the Civil Rights Movement.
Oh, nice. Look at that. Because you got the
Yeah,
Underground
that's a long
Railroad. This is
one.
the
Yeah.
Underground Kitchen.
That funded, which is
That's cool.
kind of what I thought of it as, right? It's like you just don't know.
Right, yeah.
No. Did any of you guys know about her at all?
No.
I think I have always gone, when I've done deep dives into the civil rights movement, I have very much seen, and then we gathered at so-and-so's house. And there's usually no more information about the woman's house that they've gathered at, but I do remember seeing that quite a bit. And whether it has always been her or whether it was a variety of different women, it felt like that is where the real work got done. That's where they relaxed. That's where they thought about what do we need to do strategically with the movement? How do we gather more people? And it was always food was around.
Yeah. It was probably her house.
Yeah, probably.
That's everything I read. That was the place he took.
Yeah.
Dr. King took everybody there. He's like, I know where we're going.
Yeah.
And clearly they left her alone.
Right. And what I'm thinking is the movie Selma, directed by Ava DuVernay, they all gather at someone's house. And so now I'm like, I wonder if they ever named her. Because that's part of also the history, too, is sometimes like, there she is, but is she addressed by name? And I hope she is. But it's been a bit since I've seen the movie.
Right. I don't remember her being called by name, but that doesn't mean...
Right, yes.
There was a quote, I'm going to look for it, but there was a quote. It made me giggle, and it made me think of this group specifically.
Yeah.
So give me a second, I'll find it. But I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Take
You
it
need
from
that
the
up somewhere. But...
Right, exactly, yes. Make a Bonnie art print out of it. Bonnie loves a good quote as well. Too fun.
My apologies. I was like, oh, that's the quote. Now I can't find it.
Right, exactly. You're like, hold on, it's buried in the notes. I like it. I know you'll find it.
I know. My apologies.
No, you're fine. It gets dug within there and all of that kind of good stuff. But I would love to see Katie make some recipes of hers because I
feel
think
like we're all going to be meeting at Katie's house.
I know, right?
Right. I'm in. You tell me it's Gloria night. I'm there.
I like this.
Okay, there's a couple. So one said, everybody could tell you Georgia Gilmore didn't take no junk.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You push her too far, she would say a few bad words. If you push her any further, she would hit you.
Oh, nice.
And then for the bus driver, when she got kicked off the bus, she said, when I paid my fare and they got my money, they don't know whether it's Negro money or whether it's white money. But they took my money.
Took the money all the same, right?
I was like, oh, girl.
Right.
You were lucky. You were lucky you stayed alive, girl.
Yeah.
But I was like, those two, I was both like, they take my money.
Right. Mm-hmm. How do they know?
Yeah, they take my money. But yeah, I did like that. But she would hit you.
Yeah, exactly. But she would hit you, though.
It's like, if she says a swear word, you're in trouble.
That's the warning, the shots
warning.
Yeah,
Shots fired. Shots fired. So, yeah.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, 100% solidarity.
So, yeah.
Sweet.
And that's what I've got on Miss Gloria.
Yay! Did you want to wrap up the episode?
I can. Hang on.
Dun, dun, dun.
I have to get the right words.
I know, right? The script part is the hardest.
I know. It's the script part. Reading, it's fundamental, everyone. Well, that wraps it up for this week, everyone. Join us next week for another Solidarity Gal is Picked as we share the Gal's Guide podcast. Thanks for listening.
Want to learn about more women of history? Gals Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.